Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a security vulnerability that's so fundamental, it's basically been hiding in plain sight for years. I'm calling this one the unsigned message. And, well, it's a flaw that could affect pretty much any corporate network out there.
Let me just start with a question for you. What if an attacker could impersonate anyone on your network? I mean, think about it. Your CEO, a system admin, literally anyone. It's a pretty chilling thought, right? And it's the exact risk we're going to break down today. Now, this isn't some crazy, brand new, complex exploit. No. This is a critical vulnerability that comes from a simple default setting, one that has left the door wide open for years. But now, thankfully, that's finally starting to change. So where is this danger coming from? It all lies in a protocol that's at the very heart of most company networks. So let's start there by understanding the threat that's lurking within LDAP.
Okay, so what even is LDAP? The easiest way to think about it is like the phone book and ID checker for your entire company network. It's the system that applications use to look up users and resources, and this is the important part, to authenticate that you are who you say you are. It's fundamental, it is absolutely everywhere, and when it's not secure, it is a huge, huge problem.
So when that phone book communication is flying across the network unsecured, it's incredibly vulnerable. An attacker can just jump in the middle, a classic man-in-the-middle attack, and secretly intercept traffic to steal credentials, or even change a user's permissions right then and there. Or they can pull off what's called a replay attack, where they just grab an entire login attempt and, reuse it later to get access as that person. This can lead to a full-on domain compromise. It's serious stuff. Those are some pretty scary threats, but the good news is there are powerful defenses. And that brings us to how we fix this whole mess with something you can think of as a digital wax seal, or, more technically, how signing and channel binding protect you.
So there are two key protections we need to talk about. First up is LDP's signing. Just picture a tamper-proof wax seal in an old-school letter. That's what this does, digitally. It proves the message is authentic and that no one has messed with it. The second piece of the puzzle is LDP channel binding. This one's a little more subtle. It makes sure that the secure encrypted tunnel you're using is tied directly to your specific session. It prevents an attacker from hijacking your call midway through, so to speak. Let's just quickly walk through how that channel binding actually works, because it's pretty clever. First, your computer sets up a secure connection. Then, a totally unique key, the channel binding token, gets created just for that one session. When you go to log in, that token is sent right along with your credentials. On the other end, the server checks to make sure the token matches the session. If it doesn't, connection dropped. It's a really simple but powerful way to lock that digital door. Now, this technology isn't new. So what is new? What's the big deal? Well, that brings us to the real heart of this whole story, the critical shift to making security the default setting from the get-go. And here's where you can see the huge change. In Windows Server 2019 and everything before it, the defaults were just dangerously permissive. Signing was optional, and channel binding was basically never used. But now, with new deployments of Windows Server 2025, that's flipping. Signing is now required, and channel binding is turned on whenever it's supported. Microsoft is finally making security the default, not some optional extra. But, and this is a really critical catch for anyone who manages a network, if you're upgrading an existing server, these new secure defaults won't be automatically applied. Your old, less secure settings are preserved to avoid breaking older applications that might not support these features. And what that means is the responsibility is on you, the administrator, to go in and manually secure your upgraded systems. So, you're probably asking, how do you find these potentially insecure connections? Okay, let's get practical. Let's talk about how to go hunting for clues on your own network. Think of this as your treasure map. Windows actually logs specific event IDs when it spots these insecure connections. Event ID 2887 is basically a giant red flag. It means a client is connecting without signing, and it tells you exactly which machine to go look at. Then there's Event ID 3039, which tells you a client tried to connect, but it doesn't support channel binding. Seriously, these logs are your best friends in this whole process. And the workflow for fixing this is actually a pretty clear four-step process. First, you have to turn on the right auditing so these events actually get logged. Second, you monitor for those key event IDs we just talked about. Third, you track down and update the clients that are causing the problems. And finally, this is important, you roll out the changes gradually, piece by piece, so you don't accidentally break your whole network. Okay, let's zoom out for a second.
what does all this mean in the bigger scheme of things? Let's wrap up by looking at the bigger picture on security.
So, what are the key lessons here? First, the really good news. The entire industry is slowly but surely moving towards better, more secure defaults. Second, this is a powerful reminder that it's often the legacy systems and old defaults that are hiding your biggest risks. And third, proactive monitoring isn't some luxury. It's an absolute security essential. You have to be looking for this stuff. You know, this quote really just hits the nail on the head. The most dangerous threats are often the ones we've accepted as normal for too long. For years, this exact vulnerability was just how things were done, business as usual. And now it's finally being seen for what it always was, a critical risk.
So, in the end, Microsoft is fixing a major, long-standing security flaw that we all just kind of accepted as normal. And that really leads to a bigger question for all of us, doesn't it? What other safe defaults in all the different pieces of technology we use every day should we be questioning?